I'll kick this off and we'll get going. It being on or about 6:30, I call the October 10th, 2023 meeting of the Conservation Commission to order. This meeting is being conducted remotely over Zoom. Attendance by board and commission members will be remote, and remote attendance shall count towards a quorum. The meeting will be broadcast live and may be recorded for ECAT. Let's begin with a roll call vote.
Benson present.
Carroll present.
Grossman present.
Caulfield's present.
Spadia present.
All right, we are going to take the first order of business out of order and talk about enforcement at 81 Summer Street. But I do just want to make a quick announcement. I know we have some regulars tonight. Our next meeting is 11/20/23. So you'll hear some, I think, continuances as we go through tonight, but our next meeting of the Conservation Commission is 11/20/2023. So let's begin with Mr. Dias on behalf of 81 Summer Street's enforcement order.
So many people to write down, I forgot to promote him.
All right, I think I'm here. Can everybody hear me?
Hi, Eric. We can see you. We can hear you.
Excellent. Fantastic. For the record, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering, representing Garcon Corp. for 81 Summer Street. First, thank you for taking us out of order. I'm actually in my truck in the parking lot of another meeting tonight. So this is a very big help. I will be brief. I know you got a long agenda. I think every member of this commission was here when we had the original enforcement order way back when. We're all very familiar with this. At the last meeting, what we talked about is that after the first year of planting, there is about a 50% mortality rate in the species planted. A large portion of that is contributed to deer damage and damage by other wildlife. So the applicant kind of takes the position that he is happy to try to go out there and replant, but he does want to avoid a situation where this comes up season after season and he's just chasing deer and other critters for the rest of for all eternity. So the commission seemed to understand that and said, well, we'll put together a plan. So we did put together just a brief, what we're calling a plan of action, just an outline to flow by the commission. And I presented that in letter form to Jen over the weekend. I trust she sent it to you folks, but just to summarize, the applicant is willing to replant the 50% of the plants that have died. He plans to do it late this fall season to help limit sun exposure and things like that. He will plant, water appropriately and implement water protocols through the end of the season this year. And then after that work is done, he is requesting that he be released of further responsibility and his surety returned to him.
Jen, do you want to make some comments? Or I have just a couple of points to make on it, and I was able to review it in advance of the meeting. Did everybody get a copy of the proposed replanting? Okay.
It might have only gone to you, Ben, because it just came through today. So I do have a couple comments. It seems like the planting and the watering is going to start and stop at the end of October. The commission asked for a watering schedule versus a statement that says we will water. And, Eric, you started off saying there's a lot of deer and animal damage, but the commission asked for what type of deer repellent would be used, and there doesn't seem to be anything proposed. You also mentioned this is a violation. So it does need to be a minimum 75% native vegetation restabilization, and it would require some additional monitoring at the very least next spring. So those are, and the conservation restriction also has not been finalized, so we'll just make a note of that.
So Eric, when we're talking about replanting 50%, it's the entire 50% of the 50% that didn't make it. So that'd bring us back to 100%, or is it?
Yes, it's basically half of what was planted originally. He's going to replant with the idea that he can afford to basically lose half of what he replants and still come out on top of the 75%.
Okay, and look, I don't think anyone here wants to play Groundhog's Day on this for the next few years, but I think we need something a little bit more official on deer management and a watering plan that goes past October.
Sure.
Mostly so that we're not playing Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Just a couple of notes. I did discuss the idea of deer fencing and things like that, and ways to help manage wildlife with the applicant. And he notes that he does not physically own the land anymore, so he's not able to implement physical barriers. Deer repellents and things like that. There is some apprehension on our part, but we can certainly look into what might be appropriate there.
Yeah, is there a I've actually never really thought through how to keep deer from eating things. Aside from fences, did deer repellents work?
I'll be honest, I have limited knowledge regarding deer repellent, so I do need to do some more research and get a little bit more up to speed. I know there's a wide variety available through a simple Google search, so I'm assuming they're either very gimmicky or they do something.
Look, like if he has a well thought out reason why deer repellents are inappropriate, I think we'd be willing to listen to it. But I do think some type of a watering plan would be very much.
It is my experience that deer repellent does work.
Okay.
We'll take it. A sample of one.
In my yard.
Just as a point of information from my own personal experiences, we've used deer netting that has been successful. It's just a plastic netting. You can't even really see it on the plants, to be honest. And the other thing is certain varieties of plants are resistant to deer as well. I mean, arborvitaes, you see them all over the place where the deer has eaten up to about this high, all over the place, but there's a certain variety of it. I think it's the Norway variety of it that they actually don't eat. So,
Good to know. So, I guess, Eric, I think that we're close, but I think does anyone have additional comments on this? Does anyone feel differently than what I've?
Yeah, from my perspective, and I'm respectful of the efforts being made here by the applicant to remedy the situation. I think that we're all in this till it's fixed. So that's my own personal feeling on this. I'm not willing to stay today on October 10th. Okay, give it a good shot, and then we'll see you next year, and we'll sign off on it. I think we'll have to see what happens next year.
That's fair.
Understood. Can I ask one question of the commission? Obviously, it sounds like we have more work to do. But Mr. Chairman, you mentioned that the next meeting is November 20th. And if that's the case, we would not be able to get back before you with an updated and expanded plan before the end of the growing season this year.
That's not great.
Is it possible to empower the agent to review and approve?
I think for an enforcement order that is acceptable. Jen, do we need a vote?
I don't think so, but it doesn't hurt to have one. Just in case, if we do, then we have it.
So I think I'm just thinking this through yet. It's not the motion yet. I'll do a motion to, I guess, approve the planting plan contingent upon some deer management and a more formalized water request to the satisfaction of the agent.
The monitoring time frame.
Monitoring time frame. What's an appropriate monitoring time frame?
I would suggest spring.
Okay. Eric, is that acceptable?
I think we can work with that, sure.
All right. So, can I get a so moved?
So moved.
Hold on, I have to write all that down. Okay, thanks.
We still have to vote. So, roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, I.
Crossman, aye.
Bull's eye.
All right, thank you.
So I was writing, who made the motion in second, please?
I made the motion. I think we had a so moved, and I don't know that we got a second. Did anyone second that?
I seconded it.
Thank
All right,
you.
Perfect. Thank you, Rory.
Yeah, thank you all very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, calling the next order of business of the Conservation Commission, 76 Union Street. Notice of intent to repair a septic system.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Peter, how are you?
Can you hear me and see me tonight?
We can hear you, we can see you.
Awesome. I will pull up with a copy of the plan and we'll get going. For the record, Peter Lyons with Collins Civil Engineering Group, representing the property owner for this project. This is 73 Union Street. This is an existing, I guess I would call it a commercial building. It's like a garage. The owner stores some cars and stuff in here. This is kind of a complex site. I'll do my best to kind of explain what we got going on. So this is off the northern side of Union Street. As we enter the site from the driveway, it crosses an existing stream. We've delineated the mean high water line where applicable. Also on both sides of the stream and surrounding the entire building is the green BVW line, flagged by Brooke Monroe. On this site, we show the purple as that's going to be our 25-foot no-touch buffer to the BVW, and basically nowhere in the site falls outside jurisdiction. Our proposal for this one is to eliminate the pump and fill, the existing leaching pit in the back of the property, and provide a new 4-inch sewer line to a 1,500-gallon septic tank and pump chamber out in front of the building, and then we'll be pumping it to an elevated leaching field with plastic chambers out front. We are trying to maximize the distance to the resource areas, as well as maintain some access to the existing garage doors, which are on the front. So you can see the grading, we're coming up about 3 feet above existing grade. To help us out with access, we're proposing a 2x2 by 4 foot concrete retaining wall. We got some details for that shown on the plan. Basically, this entire site is proposed to be surrounded by the sedimentation control limit shown in red. The detail for that is our typical overlapped 12-inch filter mitt staked every 6 feet. So our details and notes for all that on the plan. We show a bunch of conservation markers by the big black circles, basically just outside of the proposed limit of work, sedimentation control line, or at the existing tree line as shown. We show a soil stockpile area, basically centered in the site, maximizing the distance to the resources during construction. The disturbed area will be loam and seeded. We are removing a small amount of pavement. Basically, the limit, it's tough to see, but the existing pavement limit cuts right below the 63 dimension and carries down. So that pavement will be eliminated and loam and seeded. So it will result in a net decrease in impervious area on the site, as well as the overall intent of fixing a failed septic system. So that's it, kind of a tight, busy project, but we feel it's the best solution for up here and the best locations for everything. With this one, we have submitted a waiver request due to work within the 50-foot buffer. I don't know if the commission would like me to go into more detail with the waiver. Basically, there aren't really any alternatives to this project. As mentioned, there's not really a better place for it without compromising access to the site. Erosion control dewatering is proposed. As far as benefit to the public good, as mentioned, we're repairing a failed septic system. So that's the big benefit. And there will be a slight decrease in impervious area with the project. So if the commission, I guess, has any questions, I'll try to answer them at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a complicated site. Jen?
So there were a number of comments on the staff report. Peter, do you want to go through those?
Yeah. Actually do not have it pulled up right in front of me. If you give me a second, I can try to dig it up.
Sure.
Let's see. Observation. Don't we usually have the staff reports in the online folders under the agenda meeting packets, or?
It's on Permitize and was emailed to you.
All right, I do not have the email in front of me, and I do not have the login info for the Permitize. The reps in the office do that stuff.
Does what's in my binder match?
Yes.
Then the first addition is we're missing a land surveyor stamp on the plan. Has that been addressed, Peter?
I know we can provide one if this one does not have it. This we're looking at here is a revision from 10.3, and I do not see a survey stamp on it.
But that's something that can be addressed.
Yes.
Are we floodplain in relation to the septic? Has anyone taken a look at that?
Flood limit, the floodplain is shown just south of the stream based on scaled images from the GIS maps. So we are within the, I guess you guys would call it the 100-foot buffer to the flood zone. That cuts through the existing building. So there's a very small portion of the site out back that is outside of that buffer. However, that is within the BBW limits itself, so.
So at the front of the site, Peter, you have a AH zone.
That is correct. The AH is the gray dash line cutting through right here. And then
Sure. So you scaled that from the FEMA. And so do you expect that elevation to be?
It looks like it's approximately 178. I mean, based on the topography here, which I guess would be believable with the 175 contours associated with the BBW.
I'm sorry, you said 178?
That
would be higher than the BBW. At 175. Or did you say that backwards?
Yeah, I mean, there is the zone AH. Typically, if it's an AE, it's associated with an elevation. This one is not, so it doesn't really have a specific elevation. The wetlands are roughly 175, 176, which should be pretty close to the flood limit.
Okay, so if the definition of the AH is there could be flooding between 1 and 3 feet, how certain are you that 175 where the wetland is
I would say
doesn't flood 3 feet and would be in the septic system?
Yeah, if it flooded 3 feet, I guess that would be a 178 elevation, as is kind of shown out front. Which, I mean, vertically, yes, would put the system within the flood zone.
What
with a
protection
buffer
is
to it.
there?
What protection is there?
Yes.
I mean, other than just the raised grading associated with the septic, this, I mean, without going higher with this, there's really not a whole lot we can do.
Peter, do you show a liner?
There should be a liner around the whole system, yes. And then we have a detail of the liner shown in the bottom center of the plan. So yeah, that liner with this grading would extend around the entire system.
And that should protect the septic system from the floodplain if it floods 1 to 3 feet?
Yes, I guess so. The intent is, you know, to prevent water from getting out from a breakout standpoint, but I guess it would also serve to protect it from inbound water as well.
So the line that's from the tank to the field, there's a bend in it. Does that need to have a clean out or something?
We do show cleanouts at the first bend. I believe you only require bends if it's 45 degrees or greater. So we show a bend at the first 90, a clean out at the first 90, and then at the second, call it 45 at
Okay.
the left corner of the building.
Keep going from the tank to the field.
Oh, from the tank to the field? No, that's a force main, so we would not put a clean out on that.
And what about the oil stained leaves out in the back near WF 18?
Those are to be removed immediately. If they have not been already, the owner has been informed and will be taking care of that.
So there was no reply on that before. Has it been done? Do you know?
To my knowledge, it has not been done yet.
Okay. And did you add the Vista area to the plans?
What is that area you're looking for?
The clearing of the wetland and the floodplain between 9 and 11?
Between 9 and 11. It does not look like anything's been noted on this plan. What was the comment for some debris to be removed?
That
I think
there's
there was some clearing that needed to be mapped on the plan.
Okay, to show the cleared area.
Yes.
No, that is
on
not.
the staff report, Peter. So
Yeah, I apologize. I don't have that pulled up right now.
no, I understand that, but I get you the staff report early so it can be addressed before the meeting. So just
Yep, I personally did not
Yeah.
have these revisions, so I apologize for that.
yep. So you have the brush pile and the debris to be removed from the buffer zone, and then there were comments about the dam and the seepage on the dam. Is there any reply to that?
I do not believe anyone has been contacted regarding the maintenance to the dam, no.
Okay. And you got a file number today with DEP comments. Do you want to address those?
I have not personally received any comments from DEP regarding this project. My office may have, I have not been forwarded those.
Those are all the comments from me.
Any members of the commission?
Well, I think that, Jennifer's comments were provided on September 28th. And I don't know that any of them have been addressed yet. And I'm a little bit concerned at the severity of some of them. The potential oil spill at the back of the property, the dam safety issue, the disturbance in the wetlands between, 9 and 11. We can deal with, brush piles being in the wetlands. I mean, we deal with that every day, but some of this stuff is beyond what is normal here. So I'm a little bit concerned that here we are out 12 or 13 days from when the comments were provided. And I appreciate that Peter is sort of put in a position here to answer to these when maybe someone else's responsibility within the office. But I'm a little bit concerned at the severity of some of these issues and not having confidence that that they've been evaluated. Let's just, I don't even need them addressed. I want them evaluated. So.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So Peter, my thought is that we probably ought to continue this to the next meeting and address the comments between here and there.
Forgive me, Mr. Chair.
Please.
What kind of timeline are you on for this piece of property? Is it under contract, or is this strictly because they're going to rehab the property to do something else with it? Or because, I mean, we're 6 weeks away from our next hearing on this.
Yeah, obviously that is kind of a concern. I don't believe there's a sale. It's the existing owner occupied. Other than we do have a failed on-site system, I don't think there's any selling urgency, but obviously we're kind of running out of the ideal construction time. I know these are issues that gotta be addressed. I mean, if there's any way we could approve the project, I mean, ultimately, we're gonna be submitting a final conservation as-built, for a certificate of compliance that all these things are gonna have to be taken care of by then, so.
So Peter, nobody actually lives there though, right?
No.
This is for storing cars, so nobody actually lives there.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so candidly, I'm again a little stuck on how to proceed here. I think we're in a situation where, as Rory points out, there's 6 weeks between the next meeting. This is a failed system in about all the buffer zones that we have and resource areas that we have. We've got some issues that need to be addressed. I think that they're all addressable. But if we don't approve it in the next 6 weeks, I think it probably means I'm sure your client won't be able to wrap this up this season.
I mean, certainly the potential of that.
Yeah.
Jennifer, your own timeline, Jennifer. When is the latest you could get out to inspect this prior to construction being started, if they address these issues?
November 1st.
So, Mr. Chair, maybe that's the no construction to begin before agent approval.
Yeah, then logistically, I guess how, and we still have to go to public comment, right? But logistically, how do we make?
You condition all of those items be resolved prior to construction.
Okay. And no construction until agent approval.
Yeah.
Is that workable, Peter?
Yeah, that seems very reasonable to me. Again, some of these questions may have already been discussed. Personally, I'm kind of out of the loop with this project, and I apologize for that. I have not been in contact with the owner. That's, the rest of my office. So we can definitely, check in or get a jump on those things and let Jennifer know as soon as, we're ready for inspection, pre-construction, meetings.
Yeah, from my standpoint, Mr. Chair, I think I'd be comfortable with Jennifer, having on-site approval to begin, based upon what we expect to happen. I mean, that's
fair.
She need to do that anyway, so I have full confidence in her for sure.
Comments from any other members of the commission? Seeing none, any public comment with respect to 76 Union Street? All right, seeing none, Peter, would you like to close?
Yes, we would, with the conditions as mentioned.
Certainly. Motion to close the public hearing with respect to the notice of intent for 76 Union Street.
Benson, second.
Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Falls, aye.
Stady, aye.
All right, motion to issue a permit for work and order of conditions for 76 Union Street, conditioning that construction will not start until the agent has approved and been satisfied that the conditions laid out or the comments laid out in her, I believe, was it 928 staff report have been addressed by the applicant.
Crossman, second.
Carol with the motion, Crossman gets the second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Falls, aye.
Stady, aye.
Very good. Thank you, Peter.
All right, and as always, we appreciate the cooperation from the commission. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to continued hearings and possible deliberations. Let's begin with 149 Lincoln Street, Lot 2. Request for permit for work, application for construction of a single-family home.
Good evening, Chris Anderson with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors here on behalf of the applicant, Mark Perrin of T&M Realty and Development Corp. So this project was before you guys at a previous hearing, and since then we have worked with staff. We've received some staff comments on the project and provided some updated plans along with a letter responding to those comments, and also provided an updated mitigation plan prepared by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration. I'll just quickly bring up the plan for reference. Tom Pazurski from our office kind of gave an in-depth overview of the project at the last hearing, so I won't get too detailed, but I can kind of run through the comments from staff and show you how we've addressed those.
Thank you.
All right, so lot 2 is kind of the middle lot shown on the screen here. So comments we received from staff included requesting to update some narrative items, including explanation of times of year for planting, monitoring, invasive species removal reporting, and updating a planting schedule. So we did have Brad Holmes update his original mitigation plan, in which we've included those items. We've also included a schematic showing the proposed restoration area, which is located in here. This line delineates the 150 foot zone to the intermittent stream. So this previously disturbed cleared area that is approximately 1,369 square feet that we're proposing to be restored. So we hope that we've satisfied that comment with the additional information we've provided on that. The next comment is the permanent preservation of 150 feet on each lot is proposed, but does not specify type of permanent protection. Lot 1 must be included in total riverfront area preservation. Draft conservation easements to be provided. So the updated plans that we have provided do depict those conservation easement areas, which basically everything behind that 150 foot zone to the intermittent stream. On lot 2 in particular, we're just over 12,000 square feet of permanent easement area. Lot 1, this triangle, basically everything encompassed within that lot in the 200 foot riverfront zone. That is now permanent conservation easement area, and the same with lot 3 as well. So that's all shown on our definitive lotting sheets, part of our definitive subdivision plan set. And once that goes, through the planning board process, that will be recorded as part of the subdivision. A couple minor comments on just some typos we had on areas. Those have been addressed. I believe there was some request for clarification as to some of the percentages that we were determining in terms of overall alteration. I'm not sure if Tom Pazerski had this on here last time or addressed that with you guys. I know it was part of the discussion, but essentially what we're looking at for lot 2 is we have.
Chris, could you zoom in on the table? Sorry to
Yep.
interrupt you.
Sorry, nope, no problem. That better?
Much better.
Yep, so specifically looking at lot 2 here, the proposed total alteration is 4,875 square feet. And then the area I mentioned where we're proposing the restoration of 1,369 square feet gives us a net alteration of 3,506 square feet, giving us a total proposed alteration of lot 2 specifically of 17%. So looking at lot 2, we were at 17%. Lot 3, doing a similar calculation of total proposed alteration, subtracting out that area we're proposing to restore that was previously cleared. We're also looking at 17% alteration. In lot 1, 0 alteration. So essentially when we compile all the alteration of the site, we were able to get below the 10% threshold. We're at 9.5 total alteration of the whole site within the 200-foot riverfront area for the project. So hopefully Jennifer is kind of on board with our logic and clarifying that. The next comment we received was regarding conservation, no disturb markers. So we did have a few of them depicted on our last version of the plan. I spoke with Jennifer this morning and she asked that we add a couple along the tree lines. Those are shown by these reddish marks there. So we added them at a more frequent spacing, kind of encompassing the whole limit of clearing along the back of that 150-foot zone. The next comment was a draft stormwater pollution prevention plan to be provided on EPA template prior to closing the public hearing. So that's a pretty extensive form. We're about 75% complete with it, I'd say. I did upload a draft to the e-portal just to give an idea of where we're at. We're working to finish that up as quickly as possible. And that would be something that we would be happy to make a condition of approval that gets completed before construction starts. Definitely something we're working on. Next comment was about some operation and maintenance provisions. Mr. Pazerski did complete an updated version of that was submitted to Jennifer. And the final comment was regarding some Japanese knotweed that was noted around the house and a few patches at the river that could be removed for public benefit. So we did have Brad Holmes update his overall mitigation plan to provide 1,000 square feet of invasive species removal of that Japanese knotweed, and that's shown on the overall subdivision plan and is located in the existing home parcel. So we believe that's a good public benefit to be added to the project as well. I think there's a few-year maintenance and monitoring plan associated with that to make sure adequate amounts get removed and stay removed. So I think that kind of covers every outstanding item we had with staff. If there's anything I missed that you guys would like to ask, my involvement in the project has been limited to as of recent, as I'm covering for Tom tonight, but happy to answer anything to the best of my ability.
Yeah, I think my big confusion was the 10% versus 17%, but considering the additional parcel and the conservation easement we've discussed, I think that makes sense. Jen, do you have additional comments or questions here?
Just a couple. So
Yeah,
the
please.
number of plants to be restored on each lot, is still an outstanding question, but that's something you can condition. The restoration plan just gives a total amount of plants. It doesn't specify how many in each of the lots. Draft easement language and the draft SWIP also can be conditioned prior to construction. Typically for the draft SWIP, it's within 45 days of planning to start work. It looks a little funny on permit eyes. I'm not sure if that's just how it uploads or if it's really on the EPA template. So you may want to just take a peek at that.
Okay.
And Brad's revised mitigation plan doesn't look like it has a new revision date on it. So if we could
Okay,
just.
I have October 4th, so I think we received your comments on the 2nd or 3rd. So I'll clarify that and make sure it is the most recent.
Okay. It might be on the title, but on the plan itself, let's just make sure it has the right date. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Comments from any other members of the commission? All right, seeing none, comments from any members of the public with regards to Lot 2, 149 Lincoln Street.
Let's see.
Seeing none, Chris, I assume your client would like to close.
Yes, please.
All right, so a motion to close the public hearing for 149 Lincoln Street.
Second.
Second.
We're going to give it to Mike this time.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Rossman, aye.
Paul second.
Spade, aye.
Motion to issue a order of conditions and permit for work, 149 Lincoln Street, noting a number of conditions we've discussed tonight, including the number of plantings for the house lot are to be included. Draft easement is conditioned before the start of work, along with a draft SWIP.
Paul second.
You nailed it this time, Rory. Carol with the motion, Caulfield second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Rossman, aye.
Paul second.
Spade, aye.
So Chris, I assume you don't want to do the same presentation for Lot 3.
Yeah, essentially same exact thing, same comments, kind of did them in unison, so I'll save you guys the,
All right, so let me just call it so that it's been called. Calling the next order of business, the Conservation Commission, 149 Lincoln Street, Lot 3, permit for work application to construct a single-family home. Chris's last presentation the plan encompassed both Lot 2 and Lot 3. Jen, any additional comments here?
Just most of the little typos, the difference between the table and the plan, just had some numbers mixed up, so those have all been corrected. Otherwise, same comments.
Okay. Any member of the commission, anybody want to make additional comments for Lot 3? Any member of the public here want to be heard regarding 149 Lincoln Street, Lot 3? All right, Chris, I assume you want to close this one too.
yes, please.
Motion to close the public hearing for 149 Lincoln Street, Lot 3.
Benson, second.
Carol, motion. Benson, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Rossman, aye.
Paul aye.
Spade, aye.
Motion to issue a permit for work and order of conditions for 149 Lincoln Street, Lot 3, noting as with Lot 2, the number of plants to be restored is to be accounted for. A draft conservation easement and a draft SWIP are to be provided before the start of construction.
Rossman, second.
Carol, motion. Crossman, second. Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
All Phil's eye.
Bailey, aye.
All right, very good. Thank
Thanks,
you, Chris.
everyone. Have a good night.
You too. Calling the next order of business of the Conservation Commission, 20 Goodspeed Lane, Lot 5, notice of intent application to change the approved stormwater system for the common driveway. Hi, Scott, how are you?
How are you guys?
Good.
So for the record, my name is Scott Rogers from J.K. Holman Engineering. And as you remember, we were before you September 25th, the last hearing. And we have made some revisions to the plan and also the operation and maintenance plan. And we've submitted a response to staff comments as well. So in particular, do you want me to call up the plan?
I think it'd be good to see it.
See if I can do it. It's always a fun challenge. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. Can you see it or no?
Can't see it yet.
Okay. Now.
There you are.
All
We can
right.
see it.
So let's go to the blow up version. And I'll enlarge this. So one of the things that we had before on there was that grass swale, sort of at the end of the driveway. You can see it in that hatched area. We went ahead and we added in a sediment forebay, which is going to be basically creating pre-treatment for that infiltration trench before it reaches the infiltration trench. By doing that, that allows us to reach 80% TSS removal. And sediment forebays are a pretty common pre-treatment device that's used a lot, especially for things like infiltration trenches, infiltration basins, fire retention areas, and rain gardens such as that. We also added on the plan a couple more details in the cross section, showing that cross section through the driveway, the grass swale, the sediment forebay, the infiltration trench. We just recently today added a different conservation post detail. I guess we had an older one on there, and we had added on the marker locations. There is a fence in the back, as you remember, the backyard. And we're putting the signs on that fence as opposed to putting posts in addition to the fence. And then we upgraded the operation and maintenance plan. We added in the sediment forebay to that, and we added the infiltration trench to that. And we've actually had the homeowner seeing all of these revisions to the operation and maintenance plan. I think he's on signing the third version of it, and that was uploaded today as well. So they are in the loop as far as the operation and maintenance. They understand what we've been doing and the revisions we've been making all along. So it's been working out pretty well from that respect. So I guess with that, I'd like to answer any questions that you may have.
Jen, any additional staff comments?
Nope, they addressed all of the stormwater comments with today's revisions. We just need the hard copies.
I think my biggest concern is homeowner being involved in understanding that there's maintenance requirements here. And as we discussed, just stormwater capacity of the subdivision, but I feel that that's been addressed at this point. Comments from members of the commission?
There's a point of information, if I could.
Please.
Are lots 4 and 6, those houses built yet? They haven't been built, correct?
No, lot 6, I believe, is in the process of trying to get a building permit. Lot 4, nothing's been built there, but that'll be coming before you in November or December.
Is lot 4 and 6 the last 2 lots in this subdivision?
Yes, thankfully, I believe it is.
You took the words out of my mouth, Scott.
Yeah, we all feel the same way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commission? Any public comment with respect to 20 Goodspeed Lane, Lot 5?
You have one hand raised.
Could we call them up?
Yep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Scott Paiva. This is my wife Kaya. We're the homeowners at 20 Goodspeed. So just wanted to jump on the call and kind of introduce ourselves, show us our
Thank you.
proof that we exist. Want to thank Scott Rogers and all the work that he's done, and really appreciate everyone's patience and time and effort as we've gone through this process. I know it's been a long road, ourselves included, in here. So just want to jump in and just show appreciation for everyone.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to take up too much time or anything. And as Scott Rogers was saying, we've definitely seen all of the operations and maintenance plans, and we're fully on board with everything. And so just thanks everyone for your time and time again for all of these meetings. Appreciate it. Want to put a face to the name for us.
Likewise. Thank you for saying hi.
No problem.
So I'll do a motion to close the public hearing for 20 Goodspeed Lane, Lot 5.
Second.
Carol motion, Caulfield second, and roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
All right, motion to issue a permit for work and order of conditions for 20 Goodspeed Lane, Lot 5, notice of intent for the approved stormwater system, for changes to the approved stormwater system for the common driveway.
Benson, second.
Carol motion, Benson second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Caulfield's aye.
Spady, aye.
All right, Scott, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, calling the next order of business of the Conservation Commission, 33 Pond Street. To construct two-story addition, pervious paver patio, modify existing timber retaining wall. Michael, we can't hear you.
How about now?
We can hear you, we can see you, whenever you're ready.
All right, great. I'm just going to share my screen here. All right, can you see the plan?
We can see it, but would you mind zooming in?
Oops. All right, how's that?
Better.
Okay, great. So at the previous hearing, there was concerns voiced by the agent and the commission regarding keeping the work inside the existing limits of the post and rail fence, with the wooden post and rail fence on site. And then there was also some concerns about slope stability. Since the previous hearing, we've submitted 2 revised plans to address the concerns. The latest one is what I have up now. Essentially, we revised the pervious paver and retaining wall so that they fall within the limits of the existing post and rail fence and match the extents of the existing retaining wall. So when I zoom in even further, in gray here, you can see that is the existing post and rail fence. And then this black line represents the proposed fence that we're putting in. So you can see that's been moved inside the limits of that. And then over here, this is the existing timber retaining wall that is to be removed and replaced with a concrete wall. And you can see that that is also further from the resource area than the existing wall. And then the erosion control has also been pulled in That is now sits just behind the post and rail fence to facilitate its removal. It's like 6 inches off the back of it. That's just so it can be removed without that work causing any disturbance down the slope. And then I have also revised the profiles here to kind of show a clearer picture. So I'll zoom in on the bottom one. This is the one that's a little bit tighter, but they're pretty similar. So gray here is the proposed patio. Green represents the existing slope. And then the brown post here represents the addition piling. And then this represents the fence. And this red marker represents the existing fence. There's just another demonstration that we're inside the limit of work that exists on the site already. And then also a little bit of clarity. So previously in the profiles, those profiles were configured similar to how you would see it for our subdivision, which means that there was a vertical exaggeration. So for every 1 foot of horizontal, it was 5 foot vertical exaggeration. So it made the slope seem a bit steeper than it was. So I revised it to a true 1-to-1 profile so that you can, truly see the nature of the slope. It's not quite as steep as the original profiles made it appear, given the vertical exaggeration. So I just wanted to point that out. But and then up at the top, same thing. You can see all work is taking place inside the existing fence. And then in addition to that, we submitted a revised construction means and methods document memorandum for you guys to look at. And I know there was some confusion last time that it hadn't been updated to the Credit's website, so hopefully you've all had a chance to review the means and methods. And I guess with that, that's the scope of my update. And so I'll turn it over to the commission for any further comments and questions.
Very good. Jennifer, any additional comments here?
Just now that the work has been pushed further away from the wetland and within the existing limit of work, the performance standards are now met.
Okay. Yeah, but I think we appreciate you addressing the condition with the slope. Any other members of the commission have comments?
Well, it says, Michael, thanks again for helping us out with the slope down. That's great. Thanks.
No, and I appreciate Jennifer working with me quickly during the last couple of weeks so we can get it done at this hearing, because pushing it back to the end of November, that wouldn't have been ideal either.
Yeah.
No, and I did want to express my appreciation as well for you listening to us last time and understanding what our concern was and giving us a visual affirmation here. I did read the construction means and methods memo, and as I read it, I was a little bit concerned that it was simply stating what was going to get done without sort of addressing the concerns. But I think visually I can sort of understand why it's being addressed that way. I would like to make sure that if for some reason something happens, that we make sure that we're stabilizing that slope, because I don't need that going. We don't need that going into the Queesit Brook, because if something happens to that slope at all, through maybe a tractor runs over the construction limit of work or whatever, I would just be concerned that we address it as quickly as possible, because the Queesit Brook feeds.
Absolutely. Any issues going over the limit of work would be promptly addressed, and also the commission notified. So it's not something that we're going to try to address without bringing it to you guys. We'll notify you if there's any issues. Now, I also wanted to point out that slope is heavily vegetated, and so that root structure that's already there will provide additional stability on that slope.
Any further comment from the commission? Seeing none, any members of the public have comments with regard to 33 Pond Street? Again, seeing none, Michael, I assume you'd like to close.
Yes, please.
All right, I'll do motion to close the public hearing with respect to 33 Pond Street.
Crossman second.
Carol with the motion, Crossman second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Bill's eye.
Spady, aye.
I'm gonna do a motion to issue order of conditions and permit for work with respect to 33 Pond Street.
Spady, second.
Carol motion, Spady a second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Bill's eye.
Spady, aye.
Very good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Michael.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Michael.
Next order of business to the Conservation Commission, 102 Eastman Street. This applicant has requested a continuance to November 20th, 2023. This is a notice of intent to improvements to a liquid natural gas storage facility, 102 Eastman Street. I'm going to do a motion to continue. So a motion to continue 102 Eastman Street to the next meeting of the Conservation Commission, November 20th, 2023.
Spady, second.
Carol motion, Spady a second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Bill's eye.
Spady, aye.
Right, turning next to certificates of compliance. First up is 12 Harlow Street. Hey Josh, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm good. Can everybody hear me?
We can hear you, we can see you.
Perfect. So just for the record, Josh White from JDE Civil, representing Peter Hunt for 12 Harlow Street. I don't think I really need to pull up the plans for this. It's fairly straightforward. It was a septic repair we submitted last year, and it took a while to get it built and finally get this submitted to hopefully close out the order. But basically the site's been stabilized for I think we're approaching a year at this point. I drove by the site this morning and the sediment controls have been removed from the site. And one of the comments we got from the staff report from Jennifer was we added the PLS stamp to the as-built plan and resubmitted that. I think that's everything that was requested. So I'll leave it for you guys to comment if you have any comments on this.
I drive by that house twice a day. The progress it's been good to see. Jen, any comments, further staff comments?
A couple of other notes from the staff report that the first post had been broken and needed to be replaced. Remove the catch basin inlet protection and asking about the CAD file to be sent to the DPW. There was not a reply to those items.
Josh, you have any further information?
So I know my boss, Greg, had talked to the DPW director before in the past on other projects. And we agreed that we're not submitting CAD files. It's not something that Greg is comfortable doing, and Ed, the PLS, also is not comfortable doing that. So that's the company's stance on that. So as far as that's as far as I know for that.
How about the broken posts and catch basin protection? Do you know if that's been addressed?
I'm not positive about the catch basin inlet protection. When I drove by this morning, I didn't notice if it was there or not. But I did notice that the homeowner kind of shored up that first post.
Yeah.
Looks like some braces or something. So I'll give him another call and just tell him that you should probably get that replaced. Just so it's more structurally sound.
Yeah, I saw something going on with the post. It looked like an effort was made.
Yeah, from a homeowner, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're unsure if the catch basin inlet protection had been removed.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on
Okay.
that.
All right. So, I guess members of the commission, what do we want to do?
Can we give authorization to Jen? You can go check it out down the road. You know, just the quickest, just because of the meeting.
Well, I mean, I think that for the most part, most of the time, they use a machine to lift up the grate to take out the inlet protection. I mean, unless there's a machine out there, I don't think anybody's stopping by with a machine to take care of it.
Yeah, we'll have to, just on that, we'll have to get in touch with the homeowner, because I believe when they started it, it was the contractor that put in the septic. So, and he's long gone from this job. So unfortunately, we'll have to either try to chase him down or figure something else for somebody else to get it out.
Yeah, if you could send them over to my neighborhood, there's 2 down the street that need to get taken out from a project too.
It's an issue that's close to home for Rory.
Well, no, now
Yeah.
they've all collapsed and they're just hanging down in the catch basin at this point. So whatever good they did are now gone. So
Yeah, so we'll reach out and get that taken
one
care
thing,
of as soon as possible.
Josh, if I could just give you some feedback, and I know there's probably some either professional or legal reason why you don't want to provide CAT, and I'm not going to judge that. I do want to comment on the reason why they get asked for, right? I mean, there's many different reasons. I mean, and I'm going to take strictly the wetland reason why. I'm not even talking about the DPW here. There's a project undergoing to make sure that the GPS overlay maps are more accurate. And so the best way they can do that is with a CAD file. So I'm strictly asking you from a professional standpoint, for the purposes of the GPS layers being updated, that we try and provide as much CAD files as possible to the state so we can get these GPS layers to be accurate, so that when the wetlands, when people are looking at it online, they see where the wetland lines are. They're woefully inaccurate right now. And so, so from a professional standpoint, there's a valid reason to request the file. Maybe other valid reasons why you guys don't want to provide it, but I'm going to request you go back to your office and suggest that perhaps there's a benefit, overall benefit, to providing the file.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, we use those maps all the time for newer projects that come in, people looking for proposals and whatnot. It's helpful to see because they're not always up to date and stuff like that. So I'll definitely go back to them.
Right, even a modified version, one that just shows whatever they need to tie in with the wetland boundary. That would be helpful.
Okay.
It's not like Word where you can just clear your metadata in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And to know that there were all these conversations going on and to get that information tonight, sure, that's helpful. But
yeah,
would have been helpful earlier.
Yep, I'll go back to them and tell them that and see if we can get you guys that and send it over.
So I'm in favor of issuing the certificate of compliance and sorting out the rest of this as we go through. Does anybody feel otherwise? I mean, I think there's pros and cons to it.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly one way or the other.
All right. So we're going to do a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 12 Harlow Street.
Crossman second.
Carol motion, Crossman second. Roll call vote, please.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Alphal's aye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. And we'll be in touch about the other items.
Thank you, Josh.
Thanks, guys.
Turning next, 8R Pequannock, Dan O'Brien. Request for certificate of compliance for the hazard tree removal.
That project has been completed. It's ready for a full COC.
Dan just raised his hand. I think this is the fastest project to
may not-
CLC we've ever had.
He may not have known I would be that quick on the report.
Hey, everyone. Jennifer, I didn't know you were gonna do that, so I was trying to be a little preemptive here. But yeah, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, we don't have an issue. Good to go. Thank you for bearing with us and doing the right thing back there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Glad this was hopefully this is the last step here. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it. Have a good night, Al.
Can I motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 8 hour Quantico?
Benson second.
Carol motion, Benson second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
All Phil's aye.
Speedy, yeah.
Very good. Turning to the next order of business, 71 Mill Street, Barron Estates. Request for certificate of compliance. Mine says for hazard tree removal, but I know that it's not for hazard tree removal.
Whoops. Nope.
Yeah. Okay. Hey Garrett, how are you?
Hi,
How's it going?
good. So I'm Garrett Tunison. I'm here for 71 Mill Street, Barron Estates, request for certificate of compliance. I wanted to start out by saying I met with Jennifer on site, and my client, Kenny, KLK Enterprises, was also present. So we did the site walk, and we did discover several areas where homeowners appeared to be dumping, and also they were dumping lawn debris. There's some trash. There was also some of the silt fence. Quite a bit of it was still left on one side of the project, which we hadn't realized. And then on top of it, we found a couple of the homeowners. One side had drainage going out to the RC. The CR, conservation restriction. And then another couple of people had some dirt or sediment in the also in the conservation restriction area. So following our meeting, my clients immediately hired a group of people to come out, workers, and remove the silt fence and take out, there was one section of plastic sheeting for the rare species sheet piling where it broke. That was repaired. The sediment was removed. The trash and landscaping debris was also removed. The person that had the stormwater drainage going in the pipe going onto the conservation restriction area was also removed. The dirt that was behind lot 11 was also removed. So all of that has been addressed. The other areas that were still remain open. We have the planting plan. I double checked and I adjusted the spacing slightly. I am going to get it printed at Staples, sign it, stamp it, and I will submit that for the as-built for the planting area. Luke from Clem Survey, he is updating the plan right now, and it should be available shortly. And we have to get the previous engineer, Todd Pilling, to sign off on it, and that is also happening. So those are the only things that I believe remain are administrative. I did try to upload. I did answer these questions and upload, but I apologize. This has happened very quickly, Jen, and you would not have any time to look at it. Uploaded it shortly before the meeting. So it is now up and online. And any of the administrative issues we had, I think we had the wrong book and page number from the previous filing. That has been updated. There was an issue with my request for certificate of compliance letter that went along with the form, the DP form 8A. That had an issue where one of the pages was missing or was the wrong page. That has been corrected. So all of that has been updated and uploaded. So you have that information. So at this point, I think it's more administrative. So I guess I will see if there's any questions or additional concerns.
Jen, do you have some comments?
Administrative in the sense that there's a whole lot of information to read that I don't have yet. Hard copies need to be submitted. I have to do a whole new site inspection. But I'm glad to hear items have been addressed.
Yes.
All right, so it sounds like, yeah, there needs to be an additional site inspection here. Comments from members of the commission?
If I may, there was a shed that was on the drainage easement, was that moved?
Not that I'm aware of. I think, the legal counsel was looking into that to see how it was worded as far as the easement itself. So they didn't know if that should stay or not, but I think they were looking into that to see if it did need to be moved.
Okay, so that's not information that was submitted today.
No, I don't know what the answer to that is. I think it's, whatever's in the verbiage for that easement, would depend whether or not a shed could be there or not. I don't know if it's a issue or not. So that was something I don't know.
Looks like Mike O'Shaughnessy has his hand raised. You may be able to.
I tried to do it twice. Is it not? Oh, here it goes.
Looks like he's still muted.
Oh, sorry.
He's coming.
We're getting there. It's been a while since I've had to do a Zoom.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix that. Yeah, the drainage easement, I'm not concerned with the shed being on the drainage easement. It doesn't affect the use of the easement. It's drainage pipes underground. So if a little bit of the shed is there, I don't see an issue with it.
Is that what the language of the easement says?
It's for drainage purposes only. So if it's not interfering with the drainage, I don't have an issue with the shed being on it. If it ever interferes with the use of the easement for drainage purposes, then the town will be able to take enforcement action and have the shed owner remove it. But it's not on the easement property right now. I'm here with
It's not on the drainage.
it's not on the drainage, so I don't know why I can't
You can access it.
So is the drainage easement language in what you've submitted?
Yes, we're trying to get the subdivision roadway accepted at the next town meeting, and the proposed deed language along with the proposed easement language has been submitted to the planning board.
And how about on the conservation?
I haven't submitted it to you. We can submit it to you if you'd like to see it.
That'd be helpful to answer the question.
Sure.
But the drainage easement itself is pipes underground.
It's underground. It's not like a drainage swale or anything like that. And the shed, even if it is on the easement, would not interfere with the use of the drainage easement. There. We were hoping to get a partial COC tonight at a minimum. Again, I think the planning board, we have a meeting with the planning board in a week or two to see if we can get this accepted at town meeting. And we need a partial sign off. Again, there's a condition 14 in the permit allows the commission, if they want, to issue a partial certificate of compliance and hold back some money. We're happy to do that if that's what the Conservation Commission is willing to entertain. I can't speak to the inspection part of it. I thought Jennifer may have been out there earlier in the week, but I guess not. But all the work has been done as Garrett described, and we're hoping to move this along, and we're asking for your help to do so.
Do we have a bond on this?
You would need to post it, have a surety posted for this.
But there is not an existing surety here.
Well, not with conservation. There's some money in there's some subdivision money that's being held for the town in escrow right now.
So I guess like I'm understanding that there is a desire to get this done in advance of town meeting. And I guess how would you propose a partial COC be allowed by this commission if the commission will hear that? Right? Like I guess how do we do that?
The rub is, Jennifer, have you seen the recent, as-built plan? I don't know when it was filed. It could have been filed this morning.
I do not have a hard copy of any documentation other than the photographs that Kenny brought in today. And we were told information was submitted right before the meeting. So no, nothing has been reviewed. Site inspection hasn't been done since it was uploaded right before the meeting. No.
When's the planning board meeting, do you know?
There's a meeting on the 25th, and then there's a meeting on the town meetings on the 13th.
Town meeting's on the 13th. When do you folks meet again?
Our next meeting isn't until the 20th of this month.
20th of next month.
Yeah, I apologize. 20th of next month.
This will be beyond. Is there any way that we could, is there any way the commission would be willing to schedule an interim meeting to try to get this over the rails? I mean, we're missing information, and you shouldn't be able to issue a COC without having seen anything. But if you were willing to entertain an interim meeting, just to try to get this so we can get it on the town meeting agenda, I know the applicant would be really appreciative of that. We'd like the town to take it over. I think most of the work has been done, and all the work, but for I think some signage is installed. So if I think it's in good shape. So we're asking for some help here.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think through the schedule to do an interim meeting for this.
No inspection could be done before November 1st.
Okay.
Why is that?
I will be away. That's why the staff report went out as soon as we got the information.
Would Stephanie Danielson be able to go out and do the inspection in the interim in your absence?
She's not staff support for the Conservation Commission, but I will leave that up to them. I mean, there's a number of items here that we haven't looked at because we didn't have the information until this evening, and I don't even know if it's all there.
But if there was an interim inspection, then theoretically we could schedule something, if again, assuming the commission was willing to, between the first or second week in November.
I just get the signage, and that's pretty much it.
We would not have the staffing to pull that off.
What do we do?
You want to submit your estimate for surety, we can certainly look at that, but I would need it within 2 days. 1 day.
That's just signage.
It's just signage, $5,000. That's easy.
It's not just signage. What about the people who are beyond the conservation restriction?
Garrett just said he's been up there and they've cleaned it all up. So
I did submit images of them cleaning up the sediment, the soil. I also submitted images, which I know you haven't seen. I can bring them up now. If you want me to, I can do a screen share. The images aren't great, but you can definitely make out the work that's being done and the vegetation that was planted behind the lot.
People removed their personal property and the grass that was there, and you've planted something in the last couple of days?
Yes.
Okay.
Black huckleberry bushes were planted there.
And the signage?
The signage is not available yet, so as soon as the signage is coming, so that has not been
So
updated.
the conservation restriction signage isn't up for majority of the site from our site inspection last week.
No, the new signs are not up.
And the old signs have been taken down by homeowners.
Well, yeah, we saw a bunch taken down.
So then the one item, or I guess the items that would need to be addressed in a bond would be signage, because as Garrett's telling us that the other issues with regards to work going beyond the conservation restriction has been essentially addressed by plantings. So assuming that we can verify that, then we could have a bond posted for the remaining item, which I believe, from what I'm understanding at this point, is signage. But where does that leave us, right? That would leave us.
I think it's just verification of the as-built then.
But we don't have the as-built yet.
Okay.
Right,
So-
right now, they have not met the requirements of the permit.
Okay. And I'm just trying to figure out a way to work this through where there isn't, there is a pending town meeting. I think that the applicant has made an effort since site inspection to get this done. I think that there's certainly some stuff that needs to be addressed, and we're not in a position where we can give them a full COC right now. But what's the compromise that allows this to continue, and that puts us in a position to deal with it at our next meeting, which is 11/20. And I'm open to suggestions from anybody here.
Adequate time to resolve everything. In the meantime, give them a partial and issue a full COC on November 20th. I mean, is it possible to? I mean, let's say, and I'm not trying to put anybody in a difficult situation here, either the commission or the applicant. To say that, let's say it's, say we use a different number than 5. Say we use 10. To make sure that we're safe, right? We being the people responsible for enforcing the conditions on this application, that we're covered from the sense that if something there's some dispute over whether it's been resolved or not, we say, well, we've got the surety, we can take care of it, regardless of what the applicant believes. And I'm not, believe me, I'm not pushing anything on the applicant here that is, Mr. Koska and Mr. O'Shaughnessy and everybody who's been responsive to what concerns we've had up at this site over the years. And so I'm not at all trying to say that that's actually what I expect to happen. I expect the opposite to happen. I expect that 6 weeks from now we meet again, we're going to sign off on this whole thing. I'm just trying to get Mr. Koska, Mr. O'Shaughnessy in front of town meeting so they can get the street accepted. Now, we could go through all this from a wetland perspective, and planning and zoning could have a whole different perspective too. Is that before planning and zoning? So.
Right, and I guess that's, and I don't disagree with anything you said, Rory. I mean, we can put $10,000 for a bond. I don't have any issue with that. I think from a zoning perspective, really there was only one area. I'll take that back. There was 2 areas that were within the subject of the Conservation Commission. One was there was 2 isolated wetland areas that were not touched, and then there was an area by the street which Garrett has, or he submitted. He couldn't upload it tonight. He's going to drop off hard copies tomorrow. So really, that was the only area that was
right. That area by the street. Right. It took us 2 years to figure that out. I mean,
understood.
It finally has in the last 18 months been consistently addressed the way we wanted it addressed. So I mean, I do give some credit there from the sense that once we pointed out that people kept on cutting stuff down, it has stopped. So I appreciate that. I think that the one thing that we have to be sensitive to on this particular project is the endangered species. I mean, we're just trying to make sure all of that is not impactful. And believe me, we've been through all this, and working with natural heritage and the turtle walls and the turtle tunnels and everything else that goes on in this particular piece of property. It has been done, as expected and with respect to the endangered species. So I'm not concerned about that. The stormwater has always been a concern at this part of town. And I think by design, it's been handled appropriately. We want to continue to make sure that way. But I think that Jennifer's being prudent and from the sense of proposing that we not fully sign off on this until meaning Jennifer, get a chance to go out and do an inspection here and ensure that, and I have no reason to believe Mr. Tennyson is telling us a story here, that I believe that what's happened out there is true. So from my perspective, I maybe we say a $10,000 surety bond and, final copies of the as-built stamped and everything else with a partial COC. Jennifer inspects it before the next meeting at November 20th, and we sign off, we issue a full COC then. That's what I would, can we get there on that? I think
the edit would not be to pick a random number for the surety. My only edit would be that they provide the estimate for the remaining work so that you have an accurate amount. That's my only other comment.
So the remaining work could be work that's been done but uninspected.
I'd say that's a fair way to describe it, Rory. From in talking with Kenny, as far as he's concerned, the only thing that's left over is just putting up the signage, and the signs are coming in by the end of the week. So it was a timing issue. Otherwise, you would have had the as-built completed.
I mean, if we were to say, and Jennifer is fine with this way, we've done it with every applicant, is when there's a surety, we get an estimate of what is left. We have to say, okay, that's a reasonable number. I would say if we want to get out of here tonight on this with a partial COC, that we propose something not to be less than $5,000, and have them be what the number should be. This is, I want to be 100% clear. This is not standard, not something we would normally do. There's a compelling reason to do it, unfortunately, from where I sit.
Yeah.
And it's to be honest, the compelling reason is actually not conservation related. And that's a little bit of a tug and pull that's going on here. So,
I mean, we're okay with 10 grand. I mean, it doesn't have to be 5. The surety amount is not, there's not that much work there. And I know it has to be inspected, and I know we're kind of putting you guys in a bad spot.
Where the numbers are coming from is we've had situations where we ask people to estimate the sureties and we get numbers that don't seem to be backed up by reality. So I think what we're saying is there may be a proposal here to, set a basis level, even though I don't think any of us are really experts in what signs cost, but let's say it's $5,000, $7,000, $10,000, whatever it is, and then ask, this is what the bond is going to be at a minimum, but tell us what it's going to cost in good faith, and post that number with the town, and with the understanding that we're all trying to work towards getting this done on 11/20.
So just as I understand it, you want to set for the $5,000 as the floor, and we'll come in tomorrow with this is what's left. This is our estimate, and we'll have that for you guys tomorrow, and we'll set that as that'll be the ceiling, I guess, for lack of a better description. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
And the reason we're doing that is because we don't have there won't be another meeting where we can say, yes, that number sounds reasonable.
Yes, I'm okay with that. And again, we apologize for what it is, but we're trying to get the road accepted for the residents as well.
Yeah.
2 more questions. Where do you stand with natural heritage?
Natural heritage. So basically, the situation with natural heritage is Goddard Consulting they did the work initially. I picked it up recently. I did go out and I have been inspecting it, and I thought they were inspecting it, but they're not. So I did actually create a planting plan based on what was in the ground. And then there were a few blueberries that had to be switched out from high bush blueberries. Few meaning, I think there's like 15 or something, somewhere around that many. We're just switching those out. And then I'm going to fire off a updated letter to Natural Heritage. And we're on, I believe, year 6 or 7 of monitoring. So I will send that off and then see if there's any response. I don't think there'll be certificate of compliance because we have a 10-year monitoring plan right now with them. So
So the condition is, document that you've received word from Natural Heritage that you're in compliance with them. So do you have any information from Natural Heritage to confirm that?
Not since, I don't know if Mike was the last person that spoke with them or not, but we've been speaking with them on and off on everything to make sure it was in compliance, but I don't have any documentation. No, I do not.
And the infiltration basin, there's a condition about aerating the bottom.
I don't think we're going to aerate the rocks. Because
why was it changed from grass to rocks? Was that something that the commission approved?
I think, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, in the original subdivision plans that showed a stone bottom, and it was always a stone bottom. I'm not quite sure why that condition was put in your order of conditions. My guess was just an oversight, but that was always designed to be a stone bottom, not a sand bottom that would require aeration.
Well, a sand bottom is different than a rock, a stone bottom.
I understand that, and the details that were approved under the subdivision plans, which should be on file with you guys, show the details of stone bottom.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I think that was just an oversight. Yeah.
Comments from any other members?
Slowly, so I can write it all down.
Yeah, I made a little help with the motion on this. Comments from any other members of the commission?
I have one question. What can we do to slow down the people that own the territory, the properties next to the wetlands that are dumping debris in those wetlands?
Where's this out?
In this site, because it sounds like that there were, the existing tenants were dumping debris back in the site, including the dirt. I think that probably came from the existing tenants, or property owners.
I think that's a fair assumption.
It's difficult because once people move in, there's conservation signs up. Some of the conservation signs were torn down. Literally, you could see where the metal's been pulled off. Somebody ripped them down, or they didn't want to look at the signs. It's not aesthetically pleasing, so they take the signs down. I see this elsewhere, and I see dumping elsewhere. It's very difficult, especially for Jen and the commission, because you're not out there to police everything. So it is always difficult. Whenever you have human encroachment, it often happens. So I don't know how you address that. And it wasn't in wetlands, but it was in the conservation restriction area for the rare species. So it is it's an environmental resource area. So
I guess the answer is new signs, maybe more aesthetically pleasing signs.
That's what we're working on right now, and working with Jen on those. So we're trying to get that done. So there are signs out there. They're not, there were supposed to be 2 per lot. Some of the lots have 2, some of them only have 1, but they're huge, huge signs. So Jen was saying, these really don't work well for the people because these are huge, and we agreed. Something smaller and something more aesthetically pleasing would be better.
Sure. We talked about a lot of these things about a year ago.
Yes.
And so now we're trying to address it tonight. That's my frustration, that we went over this, a lot of these items already. Okay, so you're looking for a partial with the surety?
Yeah. So I guess I'll take a stab at a motion here. Motion to issue a partial certificate of compliance for 71 Mill Street, Barron Estates, conditioning in part that the bond, that they post a bond to address uncompleted work from the staff report, and that the bond should be for no less than $5,000. I think that's my entire motion.
Rossman second.
Carol motion, Crossman second, roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, I.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Fells, aye.
Spade, aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your help in trying to get this accepted for the town meeting. And all your help on the past as well.
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I could make a motion for a 5-minute recess, my
Yes.
dogs are calling.
Absolutely. So let's just do motion to take a 5-minute recess.
Second.
Roll call. I'll go with Benson, I. Carol, I.
Crossman, aye.
Paul Fells, aye.
Spade, aye.
See y'all at 8:16.
Recording stopped.
Jen.
Yes.
So one update on the environmental police deal with the coyotes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really care too much about it. They ended up being three coyotes in separate states of degradation. So someone's shooting on me. They're obviously illegally. It's not during season, and they're just dumping them. They had nothing to go on. I told them I could put out cameras. And they were cool about it, appreciative of it. They say if you can actually really catch them, give us a call. But it almost kind of took the front as they're coyotes, and we're not. Even I didn't enjoy, but I almost felt like it was in that step of like, it's a coyote. If it was a deer and it's on Sunday and you see us call us, but she didn't. The officer didn't remember me. Remembered my dog over me, so that's kind of what we're dealing with. So it's like, all right, cool.
People remember the dog names more than the people names.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
All right. Well, I mean, I do have cameras if you want them.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if I see something new by the time we come back to, I'll throw them out there. But I just don't want to get them stolen on you, to be honest. Because some guys parking there, and our luck will just get them trashed for no reason, Plus, on the where it is still in conservation anyway. So I guess worst case we would just forward that over to them and say, hey, give it a look. But
yeah,
please don't worry, you're rolling over. So.
And Jamie's report or his email with the information, that was good.
That's pretty cool. I hope he gets some kidneys this year, but I don't know if he's going to get a ton. We'll see. A lot of people are like, "What the hell even is the kidney?" And in fairness, to be honest, I'm no surprise. And when it's hard,
I don't hunt, but don't you just like?
Yeah, I mean, you're not hanging around at that very moment to see what's what. No, it's kind of a scoop and go. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I even thought about man, I don't even know if under pressure, I didn't understand if I would pinpoint like, oh yeah, there it is. Maybe I would. I mean, it's not too hard to figure out. It's pretty hard mass.
Yeah. And it seems like those two items would be a little bit far apart, right? I mean, to take the jaw and the kidney at the same time, one is mushy, the other one's going to be
right. And then the jaw, if people get if they get the taxidermy, then you're not getting the jaw. That's not going to happen because they'll take, they'll have the head. So it's not. They'll have to come on a later date if they can even get it back. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know that I get that, or if I mean, even photographs of the jaw wouldn't that be more helpful just to open it up and get pictures of the teeth?
Do you mind me emailing that to him? Because I'm going to ask him unless you want to. That's a great question because I think, because the jaw could be a skeptical one or a sketchy one. The kidney we'll figure out. Hopefully, people will end up keeping those. If they don't, they don't. But
they'd have to be really into research.
Like very into research.
To wanna.
That's a separate baggie, okay? So that's a whole other.
Want to do that, and that depends on how cooperative people living in the house are with, put these baggies in your freezer.
Very well said. Do not think of that part. And if you'd like to know, we're doing the deer study in town, which you're already aware of. And then Jamie wants people in Easton and a few other towns that are dealing with that deer project to have the hunters this year collect and keep the kidneys of the deer that they processed and the jawbone. So yeah,
We're just going over like the logistics of, okay, this is goo, and then how you
Yeah.
gonna get that. And
You're gonna have a small
on
sample
it.
size of very dedicated
That's what I
hunters.
said.
Yeah.
That's what I said. I'm like, it might not be as many as you hope for this year.
Mostly just because it probably ain't that easy to get the jawbone out.
No, well, that too. I mean, I just said going to a taxidermist client, it's gone at that point. And then if you're doing
Yeah.
it, I mean, I don't know. To be
I
honest,
mean,
I might-
kidney's not that hard, but the jawbone is like, that's an ask. Like, we gonna bring Sawzall with you?
That's a cleaning up, or that's a bone box, and that's like a good year away.
Sure. Well, you might be waiting. Picture of the jaw. That was a good idea.
But a picture of the teeth, you know, maybe with a ruler should give a good amount of information on that.
Is that what they're looking for? Jaw
The
size?
amount of, the jaw shows the amount of wear, and so it gives you a good estimate of the age.
That tracks.
Yep.
It's like horses.
Yep. Yep.
Don't let me forget to press record before you start, so let me know when you're ready.
You should probably press record.
Okay,
Recording in progress.
here you go.
So we're back from our recess. Let's reestablish quorum. So let's do a roll call vote. You've been nailing it, Al. Oh, I don't know if you are on mute. I jinxed it.
There it is.
Al's present. Roll call vote. Carol?
Crossman, aye. Crossman here, present.
Bellfield's present.
Beatty present.
All right. Turn to our next order of business, 52 Howard Street.
That's a request for certificate of compliance for a septic repair. They're ready for a full COC.
It doesn't look like anybody's here for that, but if you are, raise your hand. Motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 52 Howard Street.
Benson second.
Carol motion, Benson second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Bellfield's aye.
Beatty, aye.
Next is 20 Howard Street, certificate of compliance.
Also for a septic system, that is also ready for a full certificate of compliance.
And again, it looks like I don't see anybody here. If anyone's here, raise your hand. Seeing no one, motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 20 Howard Street.
Second.
Carol motion, Spadia second. Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Bellfield's aye.
Beatty, aye.
All right, turning next to enforcement. Our first order of business under enforcement is 81 Summer Street.
We talked about that at the beginning of the meeting.
Yes.
We took
said
Eric
it.
first. Yep.
This is why I had that crossed out on my paper copy, because I knew I'd do this. So turn to our next order of business, 20 Central Street.
Yes. We have two people here. I don't, Joe, are you planning to talk? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we can see you.
A restoration plan that was revised. I provided comments asking for the actual time frames of when certain things would be happening. This way we could tie them to revised enforcement orders as work progresses. I don't have those time frames yet.
Okay, and excuse me, Jennifer, I don't know, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, my clients were actually in Greece, and they just got back as of today. So I can get with them and see if we can get those dates and so forth. I just wanted to make sure you got the plans and they were reviewed.
Yes, the comments went out the same day.
Okay. I guess that's it.
Right. All right, thank you for your time.
All you want to ask, Joe?
Well, actually, thank you for reminding me. I think as far as the fines and so forth, I don't know if those have still been ongoing. And my client did let me know today that, again, they were gone for 2 weeks. I know there's been a daily, fines that have been issued, which he plans on paying. Not sure what the position of the board is at this point as far as the fines, where, a plan has been submitted. I don't know if it's something where the board will consider, at this point, ceasing the, daily fines, because they are getting quite expensive.
So I think this is a discussion I'd really appreciate input from the board on as we go through it. I think a lot of the genesis for the fines here had to do with the fact that we couldn't get anyone to respond to us for a period of time.
Right.
I think that submitting a restoration planting, although I haven't had time to really spend with it, and trying to get on a schedule indicates a good faith effort to come back here and potentially do the right thing on the way through. That said, we did have, I think there was a prior violation. We had a whole discussion around a new permit set, and yet work was still done, and clearing of the wetlands was still done after those meetings. So I would like to think that that was a miscommunication of some kind that resulted in what happened there. I've always sort of seen fines personally as a last resort to advance our interests. And I would just like to hear from other members of the commission on this issue. I think what's being asked of us for full clarity here is, would we like to cease fines, reduce fines, now that we have a restoration planting, with the understanding that they're going to be in over the next few meetings, that discuss what happens next. And I think that that's also further informed by the fact that our next meeting is 11/20.
Did they say they're planning on paying the fines? They haven't paid any fines yet. They're just planning on paying whatever they've accrued.
They're planning on paying back fines. And those, if we cease them, right, if we stop issuing fines, it's my understanding those back fines, they don't go away. There's still an outstanding bill that needs to be paid, but it would stop accruing additional penalties.
Chair?
Yeah, Rory, please.
Jennifer, have you had a chance to review the planting plan that's been submitted yet?
Yeah, the day it was submitted, I provided comments, basically asking for specific timeframes. It just says, will be planted in the fall. I'm looking for will be planted by a certain date. This way, if it's not done, it's tied to the enforcement order, and then should you choose, you can start assessing fines again.
So, Mr. Grimaldi, just share if you don't mind.
Sure.
Could you give us some sense of when we might expect the response to Jennifer's comments?
That's a great question, and I think first thing tomorrow I will get with the owners and try to pin these down and get that over to Jennifer. Like I said, they've been in Greece for the last 2 weeks, so I haven't really had much contact with them. But I will definitely, and moving forward, I can definitely be a contact for Jennifer. If she's not getting any answers, she can feel free to get in contact with me. I know it's really, it's on the owners to answer her questions, but I will definitely make sure that we get those answers over to Jennifer.
So, Jennifer, what's the cumulative total of fines at this point through today?
Through today is 9,300. If you are looking for other milestones, I can give you those. That was in your packet, but milestones I wrote down since we started fining were the on-site meeting with the owner, attorney, and the representative, the first Concom meeting we had, an update phone call. The Conservation Commission and the restoration plan was finally submitted, then requested plan revisions and the sign off on the demo, which I did on October 2nd. And then tonight's Concom meeting. So if you're looking for, when they first responded, that was 9/6. If you're looking for when we first received the restoration plan, that was 9/25. And then plan revisions were submitted and then requested by me on 10/2. But I also signed off on their demo permit that day so they could finish the removal of the garage.
Just as a point of information, Jennifer, I didn't see that in my packet and I still don't see it, so I must have gotten a different packet or something, so. I appreciate the information.
Maybe it was the revised.
What's that?
Maybe it was the revised binder, no?
Maybe it was in the original one, I only looked at the revised one.
Okay.
So from
I may have it if you want to see it on the screen.
No, I think you gave me the outline of what it was. I mean, I think the most troubling aspect of this one from a commission standpoint is that, you know, we had 2 violations back to back on the site. And the initial one, there was some delay in getting some response from the applicant as well. The site was walked by Jennifer to say, don't do this and don't do that. And probably within a couple of months, it seems that we had additional violations, as at least as much as the first one. So I was a little bit concerned about the entire thing, but I think we've been through this, and I'm okay with pausing the fines, but my confidence in this getting where we are here, considering it's been 2 weeks since Jennifer issued some comments to the proposal plan without any response, and yes, the applicant's in Greece or whatever, but they really, if this is the way they're going to operate, they have to have somebody local that's a representative for them that can respond to these things. And certainly there isn't a problem with the internet these days and sending documents by email to somebody that they could review while elsewhere. So I just don't take the fact that the owner is in Greece as a reason to not continue to proceed with this. It's my position on this. Other commissioners may have it a little bit different, but my own thing, Mr. Chair, is I'd be okay with pausing fines as long as we're willing to start them up again when if it becomes necessary to do so.
I agree.
I was more in favor of doing a partial fine. I think but in lieu of what kind of Rory just had said, and made me kind of feel a bit better about saying, you know, we'll pause it for right now. But I do feel like partial fines would be the worst thing. Just feel like we're at that point.
My concern with the partial fine is just doing it correctly.
And I agree. It's very tricky.
And that's my only pushback there.
No, I'm with you. Yeah, it's kind of
because as we've I think discussed, we don't just select a number. You know, it has to be tied to individual violations.
So your enforcement order required the submittal of a restoration plan. So if you are looking at doing something that's partial, you can say, okay, what was the date we received the restoration plan, and use that date, and then I can give you the amount. Or you wait until you get the revised restoration plan. That includes my comments from 10-2.
I'm from my own standpoint, I think stopping the fines at when they submitted the restoration plan is probably a decent middle ground. And that's, I don't know what the rest of the commission feels like.
Yeah,
still,
I'd be inclined
it's still
to agree.
Substantial. So, you know, but really, we have to, as a commission, be willing to, with this particular property owner, we have to be able to do something to keep their attention. So, this has been a very troublesome situation. So,
yeah, like I guess what I would suggest is that we cut the fines off for now at 9:25, and I think we would ask that the sort of message be relayed that we have another meeting where we'd like to continue to discuss this on 11:20, and we would like to see the staff meet the staff. We'd like to see some progress towards this restoration plan.
We wanted the fines to just pause rather than be terminated.
Yeah.
I think that's worth emphasizing.
Okay, so I'm just going to recap here. So the commission is saying that they are certainly assessing the fines up through from 8/24 up through 9/25 for a total of $6,300.
Yes.
You would expect the $6,300 to be paid. Is there a certain time frame?
I would say in advance of the next meeting, or a compelling reason why they can't be.
Okay, so 6 weeks.
Why don't we just say within 30 days from today?
That's fair.
That's good commercial practice.
Okay, pay within.
Concom's net 30.
And so what happens after 30 days if the fines have not been paid?
Say that, that our next meeting, we
Stand up again.
vote to figure out where we start with fines at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we put in there that if it's not paid in 30 days, then the fines will be reactivated?
Well, I guess maybe they hadn't paid it, but they had come up with the more detailed plan, or could there be extenuating circumstances where we wouldn't want to be that specific? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to either they've paid it or they have not. I mean.
Okay, so if they haven't paid it within 30 days, then you will start assessing fines and have a discussion on the 11/20 meeting. Is that correct?
I think that's fair.
Okay, and then we asked for plan revisions on 10/2. And that would tell us when they're going to start the restoration work. A revised enforcement order would say you must start by this date. And if they don't start by that date, then you might assess fines again at that point. So we kind of need to know when we're going to get revisions on the restoration plan so that we can revise the enforcement order. And so I would ask for those to be done certainly by November 6th.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's a weekday.
By November 6th, receive revised restoration plan. Okay. And so assuming I get that and I have the date, then I will revise the enforcement order to say they need to start by whatever the date is on that plan, rather than wait until November 20th. Okay. Okay. So you can either vote that or I can just sign it and we can ratify it at the 11/20 meeting.
I think we do the latter.
I just need a second to write all this down.
Yeah.
All revised enforcement order with. Okay. Oh, there's a lot there. Is everybody clear? Joe, you're clear on what we're doing here?
I believe so, yes. I just took some notes, so I think I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
You have a
Thank
plan.
you.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Right, so next order of business is 718 Washington Street.
Yeah, they sent an email asking for more time, and couldn't we just do the restoration work whenever we filed the notice of intent? And I said, this is an enforcement order. We talked about that at the meeting, and we expect a reply to the enforcement order and a restoration plan. But I have not heard anything from them.
So, and that was due 9/11/23.
That was due 9/11, correct?
Any interaction with the property owner?
None whatsoever. He hasn't replied to any of the emails that go.
To both him and the engineer.
Correct. But it seems like they may have made some small progress where they have a wetland consultant who contacted me and said, hey, we figured we would just, throw it in with our notice of intent application, but we have no idea when that's coming in. And we were pretty clear at the meeting, these are two separate things. This is an enforcement order. You need to take care of it.
So I would say, look, let's let them know one more time. No, we would like to see a restoration plan by the next meeting, which is now, they've got some time to get it to you in advance of it. And if not, I think we would have a conversation about fines.
Okay, and so I can revise the enforcement order to put that date on there.
Please.
Okay.
If anybody disagrees, please, or feels otherwise, please jump in. But we got a lot of these.
Most of these are gonna go pretty quickly, but
yeah,
there's just one more for any other discussion.
Okay.
8 Lyman Wheelock. I mean, this has been going on for a year, and I've tried to assist with the application, and there's not a whole lot of urgency on the part of this person. So I'm not sure what you want to do with this.
I would say same thing. We want to see a restoration planting plan at a minimum by the next meeting, or we're going to have a discussion about fines. Like we had, this one has been around for too long.
11. And so, I mean, I actually drew the plans for her a year ago. And is this something where you would say you need to hire somebody at this point?
I mean, I don't love, if I can get some assurance that they're going to do this. I mean, you've bent over backwards here. And if we can get some assurance that they're going to do this and take it seriously, I just would like them to know. I think maybe they don't understand that there are consequences to not doing it. And maybe and I'm sure that's laid out in the letter, but if there's maybe a message that says like progress and meaningful movement towards replanting by the next meeting, or we are going to have a more difficult conversation. And if there's a compelling reason that this isn't happening, tell us. Yeah, but
should Jennifer just use the word fines in that letter?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure she's sent letters that say fines in them. But I'm sure your typical enforcement letter talks about how we have the potential to issue fines in the event of XYZ.
It's usually the second letter. I'd have to go through the file. It's mostly been sort of email, and then there's not much for phone call.
Yeah.
Answer the phone, and now I'm only available on Fridays, and I set aside 2 Fridays, and now I'm only available in November, December.
Yeah.
And this takes a lot of staff time for me to do all of this and to help fill out the permit. I mean, we haven't even gotten to the permit application yet.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I'd like to see them hire a professional, but I don't think that we can compel that here.
Okay. 5 Jonathan Drive, they finally started restoring the stream. 109 Rockland, they're trying to hire an engineer. 365 Main, that was the blocking of a culvert, but when I looked at the information he gave me, he had an as-built plan from 2009 that shows it capped. So this is not something new.
Didn't we have photos that showed it wasn't capped 2 years ago?
It is capped. Somebody, built a head wall right up on apparently both sides of this stream, but the person is also complaining about the amount of water that's there. I'm like, well, if you block up a stream, water's gonna be a problem. So this is, he gave more information that shows this isn't recent, but I would not be able to meet with the person until November.
Okay.
So it's sort of, there's some progress there. 40 Prospect Street, they did hire an engineer. They're working on the notice of intent. 16 Sierra, they are looking at getting a permit after the fact. 80 Short Street, they were stalled because they didn't know where to buy seed. 42 Randall is supposed to start in October, November. The following letters I sent, they were unresponsive. I got no reply at all. So those could have the second notice. I'll send that with the language about the enforcement order and potential fines, but those will go out in November. This is only so much I can do in the next 2 days.
Yeah, it's fine.
And I was shocked that no one wanted their surety back. I got no reply from anybody. We have their money.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those can get a second letter too, I guess. Okay. Okay, so you're up to right of first refusal?
Yeah, so much like we had last week with another parcel on Howard Street, right of first refusal, map 20R, parcel 86, it's 1.38 acres. $200,000 is essentially the right of first refusal amount. So I guess that would be the amount that we would be able to pay to secure the land. I think the same analysis sort of applies that we did last week. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to look at it in the package, but it's sort of an isolated parcel. I don't think we have a compelling, I didn't see that and think, wow, this would be great to add to something that we need. Anybody feels otherwise, I'm open to it, but it's a lot of money for a chunk that I think doesn't significantly benefit the commission.
I'll just note Affordable Housing Committee is interested in that parcel to put a home, and I've let them know that there are buffer zone and wetland and floodplain issues.
Does that right of first refusal apply to the whole town or just us?
Oh, to the town. So it goes to the planning board, the conservation commission, and the assessors and the select board.
Interesting.
Conservation, planning, and assessors provide some sort of recommendation to the select board, and it's up to the select board to decide if they want to purchase the property or not, exercise that right of first refusal.
This is part of the forestry management law, right? So it's being taken out of forestry management land for sale, therefore we get a right of first refusal. For some reason I thought that just applied to Concom, but that's good to know. So us passing on it means they still a bite at the apple.
Yes, yep. So your letter can say we don't see the benefit for conservation purposes.
Yeah.
It's not really abutting anything else, but Affordable Housing Trust is interested.
Maybe on the way to the Affordable Housing Commission, just say, we do identify that there are numerous resource areas on the site.
Yes. They're aware.
Okay.
But then you can't just use that aerial photo.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of public benefit.
His office is across the street or across the hall.
Yeah. Fair. Perfect.
So
do we need a motion? I guess no further discussion. Everybody's okay. Motion to refuse to purchase 69 Howard Street, Easton, Mass, for $200,000.
Decline, maybe.
I'm sorry.
Decline's better. Thank you, Rory. It's been a day. Motion to decline to purchase 69 Howard Street.
Second.
Carol with the excellently worded motion, Spady a second. Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Rossman, aye.
Both aye.
Video.
Al, did you have a chance to review the meeting minutes from 9:25?
Yeah, I discussed a couple of minor points with Jennifer. They'll be incorporated. Excellent job on her part.
Thank you. Motion to approve the 9/25/2023 Conservation Commission meeting minutes.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Benson, I.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Both aye.
Video.
Chair updates, which I'm now reading out of the binder. October 11th, 2023, there's a Zoom hearing notice for the planning board for the MBTA communities. Although I am now just being alerted to that, I think that's an interesting state law that's worth paying attention to. I actually have very little of an idea of where it is exactly in the process of coming through. But I think it'd be worth, if anyone here has time, to jump on the Zoom meeting and just understand how that might impact. I think particularly density, our bylaw, resource areas, it'd be interesting to see one come through over the next few years. October 16th, 23 is a public hearing for the planning board to update the floodplain protection bylaw. I think that'll also be circulated. And I think, Jen, that's essentially the FEMA map that we either do that or good luck getting flood insurance.
Yes.
Yeah.
It also, it strengthens the flood protection through FEMA under the planning board, but it also identifies a floodplain person in town to contact when you have questions and do things, which will end up being me.
What an exciting new role.
All good.
Environmental planner updates.
The Tufts Farm parking lot plan. Did everyone have a chance to look at that, or do you want me to put it up?
Put it up.
It's not going to work the first time I do it, so hold on. Unless.
Oh, you spoke too soon. I see a PDF up. I don't see the plan yet, but you're halfway there.
That's not great. Did that work?
Yes, it did.
It did? Oh, good. And
it should be a Zoom consultant.
It's not working. All of my Zoom buttons are in the way of doing anything else with this.
Well, we can kind of see it.
Okay. So if this is can you see the cursor that's spinning?
I can see your cursor.
Okay, that is Canton Street. There's the stream that comes along the side of the property. This is the driveway, the house, the workshop area, and the barn. And so if we come over here, it'll be a small 5 parking lot. We'll relocate the farm stand here instead of being on the corner. And then there'll be some stormwater management. And our tenant is suggesting that the trail come along here near the stream, cut through the gap that's already in the stone wall to get you to that gigantic, gorgeous oak tree. And then that'll bring you to the back, probably this way, I think, to the trail that takes you to Flyaway. And then have another one that comes around sort of close to the barn, so you can see sheep on either side, depending on what you're doing.
Sweet. It just connects back into the field.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the best way to get back to the back trail anyway. It's the easiest way without cutting much. There won't be much disturbance to the wildlife that's already using it pretty healthily, so good stuff.
Okay, so if everybody's good with this, we'll let Merrill know, yes, please continue and start, preparing the wetland permits, so we can get this, ready to go out to bid.
Perfect.
And the last one is in 2 days, I go, Ben goes to the CPC meeting for our sign replacement grant request at 7:00, and I think I sent everyone the link today.
Yep.
And Ben, I don't know if you had to work out time with that. I'm around too, so just keep it.
Yeah, if Mike, would you plan on covering it, and then I'll do my best to get in there.
All right, but Jen, I'll see you Thursday night at 7.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm texting you where you are. I'm not sitting alone.
And that's it. Thanks. That was a long meeting. Thanks, everyone. Good job hanging in there.
Yeah. Thank you, Jen. And any final comments? All right. Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Roll call vote.
Benson, aye.
Carol, aye.
Crossman, aye.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have fun, Jen.
Have a safe trip.
Do not worry. Thank you, everyone.